What is the full form? EITK is just an acronym. What does it stand for? Oh, good. No one remembers its name. Is there anyone who can tell me the full form? What is it?
Essence in traditional knowledge.
Essence of Indian traditional knowledge. Okay, very good. At least you have tried. I appreciate it. So, do you remember anything from my classes? It is, I think we had three classes. Do you remember anything? Okay, students, I want you all to type your full roll numbers in the chat box. So no one is listening to me. Students, can you hear me? If you can hear me, I want you all to type your full roll numbers in chat box. Right? Okay. Yeah. Uh, Let me tell you. I'll first share my screen with you all. I'm sharing my screen with you all now. Is it visible to you all? Is my screen visible to
Yes,
you?
sir.
Yeah. So
Yes, sir.
this is your classroom ECE first year SEM 2 B section, right? You go to this classwork. Here you will find syllabus. Syllabus is updated here. You can check your syllabus here. Okay. Right now, coming back to our discussion. Do you remember anything from my previous classes? Yes or no? Fill the
Culture,
blank.
civilization, sir.
Yeah. So what have we discussed? What is culture? Let us have a quick recap. Let us finish this in 10-15 minutes. Then we'll start discussing the today's topic, that is medieval Indian culture. So, what is culture? What do you remember? Okay,
Ideas, customs of different people.
very good. So, culture is something which includes almost all walks of the life. That is, whatever we do, our eating habits, our dressing habits, our literature, our ideas, the way we behave, our perceptions, everything comes under culture. It can be materialistic, non-materialistic. And what are the characteristics of culture? Culture is common to a group of people. It's not that an individual will have some culture and another individual have some culture. No, it's not specific to individuals. It is common to a group of people. For example, Indian culture. It is common to all the Indians. French culture. It is common to French. For example, in India, we generally shake hands. It is not our culture, but we have started practicing it. It is English culture. But you know, in France, they treat it. I'm saying, if a young guy is trying to shake his hand with an elderly person, they treat it as a bad thing. Harsha Velganda 82. Okay, no attendance to. Okay, so different countries, different culture. In the same way, in India also, different parts, different regions, different states have different cultures. For example, we have different languages, different eating habits, different dressing styles. Okay, so culture is common to a group of people. It keeps on changing. Why it keeps on changing? Why is it dynamic? Because whenever we find that some practices which are not suitable to the present situation, or which are outdated, which are obsolete, or which are not useful in the present situations, then we stop following that. For example, in olden days, if I want to go from Hyderabad to my hometown, then people used to use bullock carts. Now I don't need to use bullock cart, because why?
We have bikes, cars.
We have vehicles.
Correct. We have other modes of transportation. I can use a bike, I can use a car, I can take a bus, or I can take the train. Okay. So people used to wear dhoti, lalchi. Now we don't have that practice. Some elderly persons may still wearing it, but because of change in lifestyle, we are preferring pants and shirt, or different trousers. So like this, earlier we never had this habit of uh, drinking tea or coffee. Change, people do change, their habits do change. So culture is also something which changes, which will not remain unchanged forever. It keeps on changing, right? So, and culture is something which we learn from our ancestors, our predecessors, right? Like this, we have discussed the characteristics of culture. I hope you remember. Can anyone remind me any other characteristic of culture?
Sharing
The
tools.
way of living.
That is part of culture. I'm asking you for characteristics. We discussed around 8 characteristics, right? Culture is, as I said, learned and acquired from our ancestors. Culture is common to a group of people, and say people share it. Culture is culture changes, as I said. It's not only that culture gives us, or should I say, it tells us as what to do and what not to do. Am I right? Culture is what? It gives us ideas. For example, let us take language. To share the knowledge, whatever I have, or to share my ideas with you, if I have to invent a language, if I have to invent the words, then what I have to do, then I have to share those words with you first. If I say this, this means this. You have to understand this word in this sense. Then I can communicate with you. So is it possible for a person to do all these things in one lifetime? Of course, a genius may do it. But generally, for a common person, it's not possible. Or for a person with average intelligence, it's not possible. So what am I doing? Whatever my ancestors or my predecessors have discovered, I'm learning that, and at the same time others are also learning that, and it is making us, or it is making possible for us to communicate. We have written communication, oral communication. How is it possible? Because you have learned the same language, and I have also learned the same language. That is why we are able to communicate. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So rule number 92, are you online?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So am I right? Whatever I said, do
Yes,
you think
sir.
it is correct?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, that's why I'm saying culture is it
Learning.
gives us, yeah, it gives us ideas, or it facilitates us, or it gives us a permissible range of actions, what to do, what not to do, how to be, how we should not be. I'll tell you one thing. Why don't we get married in the same family? For example, brother and sister, why don't they get married? Why do you feel, why do you believe that, why do we believe that it's not correct? Because our ancestors have understood that if we do any such thing, then it's not morally unethical. It's not just because morally unethical. Of course it is morally not correct, but it's not just because of that reason. There are scientific reasons behind it. Progeny may not be healthy. There may be chaos in the society. So for social reasons, for moral reasons, for scientific reasons, they said it's not correct. So it has become a practice. Now we are practicing it. So don't take culture simply for granted. There are scientific reasons behind it. That is why I say it gives us permissible range of actions, what to do, what not to do. Why don't we eat raw meat as our ancestors used to eat? Because they have tried and tested it, that eating raw meat is not that good for health. Why don't we drink and say, why do we go for homogenized drink, or why do we first heat it up and then cool it and drink? Because if there is any bacteria which is harmful, we have to kill it. For that reason only we will go for homogenization of milk and then heating it up, then cooling it, then drinking. Cooking food for the same reason. If we cook the food, then the harmful bacteria or viruses, whatever is there, they'll die. And it also becomes very easy for us to digest it. So it gives us ideas, it gives us permissible range of actions. Right? Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
So don't think that culture is something which we are following blindly. What is the difference between culture and blind beliefs? Can anyone answer? I'm asking you students, can anyone answer me? Can anyone tell me as to what is the difference? Rule number 112, are you online?
Yes, sir.
So what is the difference between blind belief and culture?
Sir,
What question did I ask you? You just tell me that. That is enough. What did I ask you?
what is the difference between culture and blind belief?
Correct. So can you answer it?
This means
Okay, at least you heard my question. I'm happy with that. So 114, are you online?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Can you throw some light on it as to what is culture and what is blind belief?
Culture, culture has scientific reasons,
Yeah.
but blinding without knowing any reason will follow.
Correct. So sometimes it may so happen that the few things which we are following as are practicing as part of culture may also not have rational reasons. Then what can we do? We can stop practicing that because it's not useful today or it's not rational. So we can change the culture also. We may start practicing few new things. We may add few things to our culture, and we may stop practicing few things, even though that is a part of our culture, even though our ancestors have practiced it. Okay, for example, uh, yeah, I'll give you a simple one. uh, it is said in Ayurveda or in Hindu religion that after eating food, after having lunch or dinner, one should gargle his mouth 16 times at least. So some orthodox traditional people, they still follow it. Okay, if not 16 times, at least they do it 3 or 4 times. But is it necessary now? Of course it is scientific, because in those days they never had this and say, what should I say, idea or the facility. They never had toothbrush, toothpaste, or liquid mouthwash to clean their mouth for oral hygiene. So what they used to do, so in order to stop tooth decay, they, after eating, they used to gargle at least 12 times, 16 times, sorry, not 12. Now it is not required. It is as an obsolete idea. Why? Because we have toothbrush, we have mouthwash, we can clean our mouth early in the morning and once again before going to bed, which will give us the oral hygiene required. Am I right, students? వింటున్నారా? అర్థమవుతుందా? Are you following me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So we may stop practicing few practices because they are outdated or obsolete, are not relevant to the present situations or conditions, are not required, and at the same time we may add few things. Why? Because they are suitable or they give more advantage, right? That is how the culture changes. It keeps on changing. It will never remain the same forever. Okay, this is what we have learned about culture. Now, what is heritage or civilization? What is the difference?
Cultural development, sir.
No, I am asking the difference between culture and civilization, culture and heritage, and civilization and heritage.
Civilization means development, sir.
Very good. So culture, it includes everything, but civilization, to be more specific, it is the materialistic development of the culture. For example, instead of using bullock cart, we are using bikes, cars, which is more facilitative, which is more comfortable, which saves time, right? Even it is raining outside, you can use your car, you can go distances. Even it is very hot outside, 45 degrees, then also you can go use your car, you can have an AC, more comfort. So that is what is civilization. Right? Then what is culture? Sorry, what is heritage?
Something which we inherit.
Very good. Can you give any example?
Language.
Very good. Simple. Dance forms, language, or literature, ideas, constructions like Taj Mahal, Red Fort, Thousand Pillars Temple of Varangal, Ramappa Temple of Ramappa, right? So these are, for example, uh, your mother may cook something which is uh, uh, very unique or specific to your family. It's a heritage. Your mother might have learned from her mother or her aunt, mother-in-law. Somebody might have taught her, I would say. So something which we inherit as he rightly identified, that is heritage. It can be a monument, it can be a practice, it can be a literature, it can be a scientific advancement. For example, you see, yeah, మీరు చకినాలు తిన్నారా ఎవరైనా? తెలుసా చకినాలు అంటే? చకినాలు ఇంగ్లీష్ ఏమంటారు నాకు తెలియదు. Yeah, why do we I'm say prepare that? Why do we eat that? It's not only for taste, because we can preserve it easily without adding any preservatives, without taking any special care. We can preserve it for at least 15-20 days or 1 month. We can easily preserve it. So people practiced it. I'm saying instead of using rice, they started using rice flour and added a few other things, flours. Then they have made it a paste like thing. Then again it is a different treatment. That procedure is heritage. Are you following me? Do you agree with me? Can we call it a heritage?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So culture, civilization, and heritage, this is the difference between. And why do we need to study about this culture? Is it that important? What is the importance of culture in human life? What is the importance of culture in human life? No idea? So you all believe that it is not important to study culture. It's waste of time. Right or wrong? We don't have much time, only 1 hour class. So just answer me as quickly as possible. Students, let me know from your point of view, is it
Quality of life, sir.
pardon?
Culture.
Yeah. కల్చర్ గురించి తెలుసుకోవడం మనుషులకి వాళ్ళ జీవితంలో అక్కరొచ్చే విషయమా అక్కర్రాని విషయమా? Is it useful or useless?
Useful, sir.
Useful.
Very good. You all believe that it is useful. Can anyone give me a simple example? 114. Okay.
Sir, it may give difference between us and others, sir.
అది అడ్వాంటేజ్ ఎలా అవుతుందండి? దాంతో ఏం అడ్వాంటేజ్ ఉంది? How can you say that differentiating between me and somebody else is an advantage? If I am able to differentiate, how is it going to be an advantage?
By knowing the culture of what they follow in different states, if we go there, it will be useful for us.
Okay, very good. It's a simple advantage. I can tell you, I have already told you, you just have to remember whatever we have discussed. If you remember that, you will get the answers. I told you that the culture gives us the permissible range of actions, what to do, what not to do. Right? For example, it's part of our culture. If we have some a small gathering in home, at our home, then what do we do? Let us say సత్యనారాయణ ఉంది వాళ్ళ మా ఇంట్లో. ఏం చేస్తానండి నేను? ఫస్ట్ థింగ్ ఇస్ మామిడి ఆకుల తోరణం కడతాం. ఎందుకని? Why do we have that practice as a part of our culture? Do you know the reason? Even after plucking the leaves from the branches or from the tree, it will continue to absorb carbon dioxide and it will continue to give oxygen. So when more people are gathered at one place, then people will inhale air and exhale carbon dioxide. Once we inhale air, the lungs will absorb the oxygen and remaining air with other what should I say, whatever it is, but when we exhale, the quantity of carbon dioxide will be more, right? So it may create some kind of problem, suffocation, other things. So what do? We pluck the leaves, mango leaves, and then ఏం చేస్తామండి? అది ఫాలోయింగ్ మీ అర్థమవుతుందని చెప్పేది అర్థం అవట్లేదా?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm trying to give you a simple example. Okay, and I'm trying to tell you the advantage. ఇంట్లో ఏదైనా గ్యాదరింగ్ జరిగినప్పుడు, ఏదైనా ఒక క్లోజ్డ్ ప్లేస్లో, చిన్న ప్లేస్లో గ్యాదరింగ్ జరిగినప్పుడు మనం ఏం చేస్తామంటే, ఇట్స్ ప్రాక్టీస్. ఇంట్లో పండుగ కానివ్వండి, ఏదైనా వ్రతం చేసుకున్నా, ఏం చేసినా కూడా ఫస్ట్ బేసిక్గా చేసేది మామిడాకులు తెచ్చి కట్టడం. ఎందుకు కడతాము అంటే దానికి దెర్ ఈస్ అ రీజన్ బిహైండ్ ఇట్, a science behind it. What it absorbs, even though we have plugged it from the tree, it will still continue to absorb carbon dioxide and give us oxygen. So more oxygen, it is good for us, and it is also, those leaves are also absorbing carbon dioxide, that is also good for us. So for that reason we do that. That is part of our culture. If you have air filters at home, then you need not to practice this. Is it required to practice this? మీరు మళ్ళీ ఇంట్లో ఎయిర్ ఫిల్టర్స్ ఉన్న తర్వాత కూడా మళ్ళీ పెట్టాల్సిన అవసరం ఏమైనా ఉందా? ఎయిర్ క్లీనర్స్, ప్యూరిఫైయర్స్, ఫిల్టర్స్ ఇలాంటివి ఇప్పుడు వస్తున్నాయి. అప్పుడు కూడా మీరు మామిడాకులు తెచ్చి కట్టుకోవడంలో అర్థం ఉందా? లేదు. బట్ ఈవెన్ ఇఫ్ ఆఫ్టర్ దట్ అంటే మీకు ఫిల్టర్స్ ఇట్లాంటివి ఉండగా కూడా మీరు కడితే అడ్వాంటేజ్, నష్టం ఏం లేదు, కానీ లాభం అయితే ఏముంది, ఏం లేదు పెద్దగా. సో దట్ ఈస్ వాట్ ఐఎమ్ ట్రైంగ్ టు సే. సో కల్చర్ ఇస్ సంథింగ్ which gives us, which tells us what to do and what not to do, because it is already tried and tested one. Okay, so that is the importance of culture in human life. Without any I'm saying without spending our time, without losing something, we'll get benefited if we practice whatever our ancestors have tried and tested and decided that this is good for us, this is good for human beings, or this is what is to follow. That is the advantage. That is the advantage of following culture or knowing the culture, right? Right. So now, what is Indian culture? To tell you in a single word, single statement, I told you that unity in diversity is Indian culture. We have unity and at the same time we have diversity. Almost all the states have diverse practices, diverse languages, diverse cultures, but still we are united. That is Indian culture, right? So what is ancient Indian culture? In the ancient India, how the people lived, that is what their culture is. How they conducted, how they used to conduct their business, what was their language, what was their religious beliefs, how the social practices were. If you know all these things, that is their culture. So how was it? I told you that time period is divided into two parts, basically the prehistoric period and historic period. Historic period is that period for which we don't have any written proofs, and historic period is that period for which we have some written proofs. Now, historic period is again divided into three parts: ancient era, medieval era, and modern era. So from the point of time from where we are getting the written proofs, historic records, from that time till 8th century AD, that is Anno Domini, or generally after death. Okay, so 8th century AD till 8th century AD, it is ancient era. From 8th century AD till 18th century AD, it is medieval era. From 18th century till date, it is modern era. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So how was the culture? What was the culture? How people used to live? How people used to say what were their religious beliefs? What were their food habits? How they used to conduct their business? How these things are in ancient era. In ancient era, we can discuss about majorly about two things, or two cultures, or two civilizations, I can say. One is, what is that? One is
Indus Valley civilization.
very good, and the second one is Vedic culture. Yeah. So Indus Valley civilization, we have discussed it. It is city culture. They know how to construct two-storied buildings. They even know go downs. They even know swimming pools are, and say swimming pool like thing, great bath. They even know international trade. They know what should I say, they had underground drainage system, so they know how to lay roads. They constructed two-story buildings using burnt bricks. Okay, so all these things. So they even their religious beliefs, like they worshipped Pashupati. How can I say? We found a sea wherein a picture is depicted, a person sitting in a yogic posture and surrounded by animals. So we call him Pashupati. I don't know what those people used to call him, but because we still have that practice, we worship Pashupati. So I'm saying Shiva in the form of Pashupati. So we have given that name, and we are assuming that those people you also has got that practice of worshipping Pashupati, and we even believe that they worship the mother nature. Why? Because again we have found some seals and some statues. They were also very much interested in social gatherings, or they were also interested in their looks, and say they wanted to look good. How can I say this? Because we have found colorful clothes. We have found statues with different hairstyles. beard styles, different styles of mustache, and we even found some ornaments. By seeing these things, I can say that people were very stylish. They were giving utmost importance to their looks, how they look, what they wear, even their pottery, the utensils that they used, they were available in colors. That means people were comfort loving people. People were I'm say fun loving people. How can I say that? We even found some toys. So we know that is, we can say, because culture includes everything, we can say that is the culture of Indus Valley people. After Indus Valley people comes the Vedic civilization, Vedic culture. Vedic culture is totally a village culture. What happened, we don't know, but Indus Valley people lived in cities, but the culture which came after Indus Valley civilization, which was very young in relation to this Indus Valley, still they don't know how to construct houses or how to lay roads. They never had city culture. They were living in villages, and they were pastoral. They were say cattle breeders. And the language of Indus Valley civilization, there is a language, but we don't understand it. We have not decoded it. But the language of Vedic culture, we are using it. We understand it. What is that language? What is the language of Vedic culture? Students, నిద్రపోతున్నారా వింటున్నారా? Are you sleeping or are you awake?
Sanskrit.
దీనికి ఇంతసేపు పట్టిందా? Very good anyhow. So we don't find any literature of this 119. Okay. No attendance to 119. So we don't find any literature which is related to Indus Valley civilization, but there is a huge literature, huge amount of literature pertaining to the Vedic culture. We have Vedas, Upanishads, Brahmanas, Aranyakas. We have Puranas like Matsya Purana, Brahmanda Purana, Vishnu Purana, Linga Purana, Purva Purana, Padma Purana, Brahmanda Purana. We have 18 Puranas. We have Itihasas, Ramayana and Bharata. We have Upanishads, 108 Upanishads. So huge literature is available, but they are not as civilized as I don't mean that they are barbaric, but facilities wise, this is village culture totally, whereas Indus Valley is city culture. Right, so that is the difference between the Vedic culture and the Indus Valley civilization. Or that's how the ancient culture was, or that's how the culture was in ancient era. Coming to religious beliefs, there is a big difference. We find we have understood that Indus Valley civilization people were only worshipping Pashupati and Mother Nature, but here in Vedic culture, people started worshipping the forces of nature. They worshipped Vayu, Varuna, Agni, Indra. Who is Vayu? Who is Agni? Who is Varuna? God of rains or water is Varuna. Fire god is Agni. 77 left. Why you people are okay.
Sir,
Yeah, are you online? 77.
Yes, sir.
roll number 119 present, sir. I'm with connection, sir.
Oh, okay. Then I saw a message on my screen that 119 left the class.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I lost my net connection, sir.
Okay, done. So,
Sir, 82 also present, sir.
okay, 82 also present. Okay, then I'll take attendance once again. Yeah, tell me, it is CC 1B, no? 1B. So your roll number starts from 61.
Sir, EC B second section. B, sir.
Oh, sorry, 61. That's what. 1B means first year, B section. So 61, no? Roll number starts from 61. Am I right? Yeah.
Sir.
So 61,
61 present, sir.
62.
Present, sir.
Don't just say present. Tell me your roll number.
62 present, sir.
Yeah.
62 present.
Yeah, 63. 62, I have given you attendance. 63, I have given you attendance. 64.
64 present, sir.
65.
65 present, sir.
66.
66 present, sir.
67.
Present, sir. 67.
68.
68 present, sir.
69.
69 present, sir.
70. 71.
70 present, sir.
Okay, 70 and 71 both are present. 72.
Present, sir. 72.
73. 74.
Present, sir. 75.
75.
Present, sir.
76.
76 present, sir.
77.
Present, sir.
78.
78 present, sir.
Okay, 79.
79 present, sir.
80.
80 present, sir.
81.
Yes, sir.
82.
Present, sir.
83.
83 present, sir.
84.
84 present, sir.
85.
Present, sir.
86. 87.
87 present, sir.
88.
88 present, sir.
89.
89 present, sir.
90. 91. 92.
92 present, sir.
93. Okay.
93 present, sir.
94. 95. 96.
96 present, sir.
97. 98. 99.
99 present, sir.
100.
100 present, sir.
101.
Present, sir. 101.
Okay. 102. 103.
103 present, sir.
104.
Present, sir.
105.
Present, sir.
106.
106 present, sir.
107. 108.
Present, sir.
109. 110.
Present, sir.
110.
109 present, sir.
Okay. 109. 110. 111.
Present, sir.
112.
Present, sir.
113.
Present, sir.
114.
Present, sir.
115. 116.
Yes, sir.
117.
Present, sir.
118.
Present, sir.
119. 120.
120 present, sir. Present, sir.
ఓకే ఇద్దరు ప్రజెంట్ అంటున్నారు ఎవరు ఇంకో నెంబర్ నేను 119కి అటెండెన్స్ ఇవ్వలేదు 120కి ఇచ్చాను 119 ఆర్ యూ దేర్ ఇన్ ది క్లాస్
119 present, sir.
ఓకే
Yes, sir. I'm in class only, sir. I lost net connection, sir.
okay no problem so yeah so we know
Thank you, sir.
welcome we know a lot of things about the culture of ancient era we have discussed it that how people used to live in Indus Valley civilization and what were the practices how the social structure was in the same way we have also learned how the people were in Vedic culture people what were their social conditions or business relations they never had business relations of course they were doing business but it was very limited to the country only that region only as it was in case of Indus Valley civilization the Vedic culture people never had international business relations but whereas Indus Valley people they had relations with Mesopotamia Mesopotamian seals were found in Indus Valley seals were found in Mesopotamia okay and people were very coming to eating habits people used to eat meat and at the same time barley rice wheat here in Vedic civilization also we find the usage of barley wheat okay but utmost importance was given to the rituals sacrificial rituals yajna yaga and those things so people were actually fed up with this kind of culture because they not only have to spend the money which they had in performing the yajna or yaga, but they also have to sacrifice the animals that they have, their cattle, cows, buffaloes, oxen, all those. So people started criticizing those ideas. People like Vardhamana Mahavira, Gautama Buddha, and many others, they said you need not perform these rituals. Even without performing these rituals, we can attain moksha. That is, moksha is a situation where we need not to take birth again. Okay. So new ideas, new beliefs, and new religions have come into existence, like Buddhism, Jainism. It's not only that believing in something, but we also believed in those who are not non-believers. I mean to say, Charvakas were there. They were not ready to believe anything like God. They were not ready to believe that there is something like soul. They said we only believe in, or their ideology was that to believe in only those things which are tangible, which is intangible. If it is something which is intangible, they are not ready to accept it or believe it. So in India, from the beginning or before the Christ itself, we were so well developed and so what should I say, people accepting different ideas. As some people say that Indians are intolerant. No, we were never intolerant. We always tolerated different ideas, different beliefs. That's why we believed in Vedas, we believed in Buddhism, we believed in Jainism. We accepted all those things. Not only these ideas, religious beliefs, but we also accepted Charvaka. Charvaka philosophy is, what is Charvaka philosophy, or what do they believe? They don't believe in anything. They only believe in the existence of human beings, or life form on the earth. They don't believe God, they don't believe any other thing. They say, yes, by chance life came into existence and we are living, so we just have to believe those things which are which we are surrounded by, like the trees, the animals, the other things. They were not even ready to believe space, because space cannot be seen, cannot be touched. So we were always tolerant, and not only now, but thousands of years ago also, people, those who were living in India, were very tolerant. They always respected others' ideas, others' beliefs. That's how Indians were, and that's how India is. Even till today, we accept all the religions, all the beliefs. We don't say that this is wrong, that is wrong. We say that yes, if that is your belief, you can continue it with your beliefs, and you should not disturb my belief. I will not disturb yours. That's how India was, and that's how India is, and that's how India will be. Right? Following me, students?
Yes, sir.
So that is the ancient Indian culture. Now coming to medieval India and medieval Indian culture. Why we have taken 8th century as a demarcating point? Because from 8th century onwards, people from other parts of the world, like Muhammad Ghori, or who else? It is Ghori kante mundu inkevaru vachunani? Okay, I'm trying to recollect. So people following Islam started coming to India, and people came with different ideas or for different reasons. Few wanted to, few were very much interested in the riches of India. So they wanted to invade India, and they wanted to loot the riches. Then they wanted to go back. Few came for knowledge. They came to India, they studied, and they have learned the knowledge. They have taken some important scriptures, books, and they have translated them into Arabic. Few wanted to come down and settle down in India. Few wanted to come and settle down in India and rule India. So all those persons, all those groups of people with different ideas, with different reasons, came to India and started settling down in India. So because of this, there was an observable difference in Indian culture. That is why we have taken 8th century as a demarcating point. Okay, now let us see how this culture was. So, as I said, people with different religious beliefs or with different cultures, when they started coming to India, yeah, Muhammad Ghazni. Ghazni came to India, then Ghori came to India. Ghazni was the first person to invade India, and he looted the famous Somnath temple of Gujarat. Have you ever studied this in history? Have you? Do you know this? Aditya, it seems you are about to say something. Oh, okay. So Ghazni's invasion is the actually starting point. After that, only people started coming to India in great numbers. Okay, so those people who are having different religious beliefs or who are having different cultures, when they started coming to India, then the situation in India was different. In the beginning, in the time of uh, Indus Valley civilization or at the time of Vedic culture, almost all the people were treated equally. Everyone has got given equal chance to learn and understand the different things or whatever his beliefs were, or according to his mental and physical abilities. People were allowed to learn different things or gain knowledge. But in afflux of time, as different religions came into existence, like Buddhism, Jainism, so society was divided into different groups based on different things, based on caste, birth, or based on the work they do. Actually, in the beginning, there was only one division based on work, or division based on intellectual capacity. A person is having personal hygiene and intellectual capacity, then he was treated as the top grade citizen, or he was given utmost importance. Then second grade or second grade importance was given to those persons who were physically fit and ready to protect the country or people or the society. Then third level or third grade of importance was given to those persons who can do business or who can create wealth. That's how the society was divided into four parts, but it was not based on birth, it was not based on caste, it was purely based on intellectual capacity or the work that they do. For example, you take a doctor. Don't you give much importance to doctor in these days? Are we not giving importance to doctors now? Why? Because society needs them. We need their knowledge, right? Then to whom do we give importance to? We give importance to engineers. Why? Because if doctor saves life, then engineer helps that life to lead happily or comfortably. So first we'll give importance to life, so we first give importance to doctor. Then second is for comforts and living happily, easily, so we give importance to engineers. Then whom do we give importance? To those who create wealth, that is business people. Same thing is happening now. So there was no discrimination in ancient India. If there is any, that was purely based on intelligence, intellectual capacity, and personal hygiene or moral values only, but it was never based on caste or birth. There was no caste at all. I'll give you a simple example. If we call a person who has completed BTech or BE, Bachelor of Engineering or Bachelor of Technology, if we call him an engineer, is it wrong? Is it discrimination?
No. No.
If somebody has studied law, did his graduation in law, then if I call him a lawyer or attorney or advocate, is it wrong? Is it discrimination?
No.
In the same way, in those days, who were having knowledge, they were called Brahmins, because a person who is having jnana or Brahma jnana is called a Brahmin. It's like an engineering degree or medicine degree or law degree or chartered accountancy. A person who has got muscle power, strength, and who was also not only having muscle power, but who is also ready to protect the society at the cost of his life, he was called Kshatriya. It was purely based on his physical and intellectual capacity, but not on his birth. And in the same way, those who were good in creating wealth, they were called Vaishyas. And those who don't have any of these three qualities, who can just do manual labor like a machine, they were given less importance. Don't we do that in the present society? Of course we are doing it. Don't we give utmost importance to a software engineer and less importance to a housemaid? Am I right or wrong? Why? Because whatever a housemaid does, we also, without any practice or without any special knowledge, we can do that. If she doesn't come one day, I can clean my home. Okay, I can wash my clothes and I can clean my utensils. I can do that. It doesn't require any specific knowledge. But if a doctor is not there, if an engineer is not there, can I do his work? No, because I need to have that knowledge. To have that knowledge, I have to study for years together. Then I have to have some practical knowledge. Then only I can do that. Can I go and just like that, as if I wash my clothes, or as if I wash my what should I say, utensils? In the same way, clean my utensils. In the same way, can I go and operate somebody? Can I do an operation? Or can I write a software program? Or can I fix a AC, or can I repair a car? Doesn't it require some practical experience or knowledge? Or sometimes it may require some specialized knowledge also. So in a flux of time, what happened is we had that kind of division, but we never had a division based on the caste, or birth, or creed. So in a flux of time, what happened, by the time the Muslims came to India, there were wrong practices or wrong beliefs or wrong understanding of the Indian culture. People, and say those who were mean, those who wanted all the facilities and all the good things for themselves or their progeny or their family, they started division on the basis of birth or caste. So we were having some wrong things in Indian society. So when Islam came, excuse me, students, there was no such thing in Islam at that time. All the people who are following Islam were treated equally. So when Islam came to India, of course we too had the good habits in Indian culture or in our religion, but what happened is in a flux of time things have changed. So again, when Islam came to India, we have learned many things from Islam, and Islam has also learned many things from. So there was a fusion of these two religious ideas or beliefs. Then it has given rise to new things like Bhakti movement, Sufism. Okay, now you will not find this Sufism, mysticism in Islam in anywhere else, any other country. It is available in India only. But actually, this Sufism started in Iran. So now let us discuss as to how the social structures was, how the political structure was, and how the business and other things were in medieval era. As I said, Islam came to India, and the rulers, those who are following Islam, they have become rulers. So whatever rulers do or practice, generally those practices and those ideas, they get popularity. For example, people used to prefer three-piece suit when Congress government was there in power. Now when BJP government is in power, people are preferring Lalchi Paijama and waistcoat. Is there anything wrong? Am I correct? Is my observation correct? Of course, people used to wear Lalchi Paijama and waistcoat, but the popularity has grown like anything. Students, are you listening?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, so these things happen. So when Muslim and say people who were following Islam, when they were in power, then people also started practicing or learning their ideas or practicing their ideas or whatever they practice. So there was an observable change in many things like food habits. Eating, of course, people used to eat meat in India, in ancient India also, but eating that meat in different ways. For example, biryani. Biryani came along with these Mughals. Do you know there is till today authentic biryani is and so you can get it in Chandni Chowk, which is very near to Red Fort. So this kind of eating habits were very popular in the Muslim people or Mughals. So that has become very famous in India. And just a minute, students. Yeah. So what was I discussing? Students, what was I discussing?
Biryani.
Okay. I was talking about eating habits. Okay. So we had this. Now India is very famous, especially Hyderabadi biryani is famous, but actually biryani is not Hyderabadi biryani. It is Delhi's biryani or Agra biryani, because Mughal kings liked it. That was the dish which was prepared specially for Mughal kings. And after some time, it is commonly available in for commoners also outside the fort or king's palace. Now we people are using it. So like this, there are few things which have changed because of wounds or because of other people from other regions. There is observable change in our dress sense also. In Vedic civilization or prior to that, people used to wear a single cloth, unstitched cloth, something like lungi, and they used to use another short cloth, unstitched short cloth, as to cover the upper body. But when Shekas, Hunas, they started coming to India, then there is observable change in dressing sense, like Shivaji's dress, Shivaji Maharaj's dress. It is somewhat like a maxi to cover the upper body, and it will cross the knees also. Then there is something to cover the lower body, something like pajama. This is actually we have learned from Parsis, and there is a change when Afghanis and those people came to India. Then there is an observable change in this dressing style also. Like this, there were many changes. People used to speak in Sanskrit or in Pali languages. But when Buddhism came, then other languages, regional languages like Gujarati, Marathi, they started and they have developed. It is because of Buddhism and Jainism. And in the same way, when Islam came to India, languages like Urdu. Urdu is actually a language which is originated in India. Hindi. Right? So it is because of these things, the mixture of these things, different things, that is Hinduism and Islam. The language which is spoken by Arabic, by Muslims, and the Sanskrit, are the Parsis, that is Parsi and Sanskrit. So different languages came into existence, different food habits, different dishes, different types of dressing styles. Administration was also different, society was also different. When Muslim rulers were ruling India, then the society was divided into 4 categories. Rulers, that is kings and their family members. Then next is priests. What do we call them? Muslim priests. Then third category is those who do business, and fourth category is peasants, those who do agriculture. Following me, students? (117), are you online?
Yes, sir.
Okay, అందరు నిద్రపోతున్నారేమో అనుకున్నా, ఎవరేం చెప్పట్లేదు. Okay, what is your takeaway for today? What have you understood? ఇవాల్టి క్లాస్ నుంచి మీకు ఏం అర్థమైంది? చెప్పండి, ఏమర్థమైంది ఒకసారి మళ్ళీ? కొంచెం స్లోగా, కొంచెం గట్టిగా, నాకు అర్థం అవ్వట్లేదు. Okay, it's already 12:10, students. I have to take another class and you two have to attend another class. So I'm concluding the session here. We'll continue this discussion in my next class. If you have any doubts, you can ask me now, or else I'll conclude the session, believing that you have no doubts. Shall I conclude the session?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, class, we'll meet again. Thank you in my next class. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.